This generation under so much pressure, held to a standard impossible to measure. Without guidance, they suffer. No father in sight, no love from their mother. Not the fin for the one in the mirror. Self-image distorted, can't get no clearer. Damn, lost souls devoured by the streets. Ain't no fairy tales or yellow bricks by their feet. Only crack vials and shell casings. Looking for hope, but
all right. This is the Liberated Minds podcast, where the mindset is pivotal, the discussion is digital, the mission is critical. We are your hosts, Reese, there's Kay, and that's James. And here we go.
All right, so today, as always, we like to spotlight Black businesses and Black artists. Today, we're actually going to spotlight two queens. The first queen is a very talented comedian and a great all-around person. Her name is Just Niche. That's Justnesh. You've probably seen her on True TV and Comedy Central, and now she has her Patreon up and rolling. She will be posting all of her exclusive comedy content, as well as weekly Just Ask Just Niche sessions, virtual comedy shows, behind-the-scenes footage, celebrity interviews, and more. You can sign up now for a small monthly fee, and you can choose which tier you want to sign up for depending on the content that you like to see. You can sign up now at patreon.com/justnichecomedy. The next sister is she runs Simply Maconda, which is an amazing baked goods service that hits the spot, whether it's cookies, cakes, pies, or cheesecake. It's simply made with impeccable taste. You can follow her on Instagram at Simply Maconda. That's SimplyMiconda. All right, so today's topic, once again, very infuriating, and we're just going to touch on the recent murderous attacks by police against our people, the false alarms by a bunch of Karens, and this foolishness about the oppressors, being oppressed. How does that sound? So let's just jump right in. So is this really a sign of things getting worse, or since everyone is at a standstill, has a brighter light just been shined on the events?
Reese, I'll let you start that off.
Okay, I appreciate that. So, obviously, when I saw a picture of the video, was like, unfortunately, it wasn't like, no way did this happen, because it happens all too often for us to be completely shocked by it. But with witnesses around, with the gentleman clearly saying, "I can't breathe," which is in my bones. I feel that because of what happened years ago, and the callous murder that these cops executed. You put your knee on someone's neck. The neck is only but so strong. That pressure, someone can't breathe. We're all having a difficult time breathing right now. Like, that's, especially with someone maybe had pre-existing conditions, maybe he doesn't. But hey, I think it's hard to live when you have a knee around your neck. And the cop didn't care. The other cops who were paid to serve and protect did not serve and protect a citizen of the United States. And what was his crime? Was his crime violent? Was it worthy of the violent the capture of him? The public execution that took place with witnesses recording this, saying, "We're catching all of this on camera." Fear that if they try to intervene anymore, that they also will lose their lives and they will not return back to their loved ones as well. However, I will say the reaction on this was swift. They did get they did get fired. What should come next quickly is an arrest, and I can only think that it's because of the swift action of of the freedom fighters that we know of, the fact that this was taped, the fact that this was made very public and it made the rounds very soon, that part is a good sign. But how many of our brothers and our sisters didn't have video for when they were executed? And no matter how much video that's shown on the ones that are executed, they're still not with us. So these losses that we're experiencing, they're really incalculable unless, and here's the unless, change has to happen, or we're just taking losses for the sake of taking losses.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, 100%. You hit every point I wanted to hit as well. As far as, when more details came out, we found out that there were a total of 4 police officers involved, 3 of them on his body. Just knowing that there were 3 people on one, I'm trying to understand what was out of necessity, what was needed to have the 3rd officer on his neck. Like I said, this man could have some type of respiratory issues to where you're putting him in an uncomfortable position where it's difficult to breathe. And then another thing this has that, I'll just say it, this lie, this myth of the good officer, right? So initially we thought there were 2 police officers involved. So I look at it from that standpoint, the vantage point we had. So we had the bad officer and the good officer. The good officer did nothing. He stood there, literally chose to turn a blind eye and allowed this execution to occur. Is this like the Judge Dredd? He's the police officer, judge, jury, and executioner. This is what's going on when it comes to us. There's no, like you said, what type of crime, even if it were a violent crime, we've seen what happens when somebody goes in and shoots up a black church. They get taken to Burger King to get a meal. They don't even get it so much as a scratch. So how is it you can detain somebody for taking, I think it was 9 lives that day? Someone killing 9 lives, and then you have this guy, I think it was forgery, they said was the case. And so forgery warrants death. So like I said, this goes back to our whole thing of equality. What is equality? If somebody can go in and kill us out of hatred, and they can still be treated in a humane manner in which they get arrested, why is it when we're doing something, first of all, that's covered by insurance? I'm not excusing his crime, but my whole point is that's what insurances are in place for. And at the same time, why couldn't he be dealt with humanely? That's what I want to know. And this whole good officer talk, we need to get rid of that, because I see it like this. These officers stood by and let this occur. If I were to go out with somebody and they committed a crime and I'm just there, even though I don't partake in it, guess what? I'm going to be charged as well, an accomplice. So this is what needs to start occurring with these officers, in my opinion. That's all I need to say on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you pretty much y'all hit all the points for real. Mm-hmm. Let me go back to a point that Reese made about recording. Now recording is all fine and well, because unfortunately sometimes this is the only way we see the crime occurring. But when will we decide to put the phones down and actually step up for each other, mm-hmm. even if it may result in that ultimate sacrifice?
That's a good question. I think we're afraid to a degree when it comes dealing with our own, because there are instances where I've seen videos, nothing specific, just in general. I've seen videos where there's been altercations in public, and it may be between black and a white person, where as the black person may be the agitator and the other black people stepping on the behalf of the white person that's victim in that situation. But I notice how quick we are to check our own. But when we aren't in the wrong and you have those police officers come in and bully, that is all we do. We're like paparazzi. They know we're not going to do anything. And that's why they continue to do this. As a matter of fact, I believe there was a video of a playground. I think it was like in Texas about a month ago, since we've been on lockdown with this quarantine stuff with COVID. But there was a situation where it was in the white suburbs where all these people were at the playground. Police officer came there and was telling people they want this band. Guess what? They cussed that man out. That police officer didn't reach for no weapon. He didn't call any of them out their name. And as a community, all those people stood up against that one police officer. And all went home that day. None were arrested. Whereas we see them doing something wrong, and all we do is talk from a distance. This is where groups such as the Black Panthers and even Fruit of Islam would be, they would be necessary to do like neighborhood patrols for situations like this. So whereas you do have those people that are trained in combat to deal with situations such as this, and just their presence alone is enough to make the police take, a double take on what they're going to do with that situation. Because I think the average person feels as though they have too much to lose, as maybe employment. They don't want to get that criminal record, so they have a lot of stuff on their mind. That's why they don't necessarily intervene. I think it's out of fear of, I won't be able to provide for my family. But we do have people who are in situations and are trained to deal with situations such as these.
Yeah, exactly as Kay said, they do have, in my research of Riza Islam and the Fruit of Islam, they do have those sects. They do have military training, and there's other groups within the nation, within America, but also the nation, that are well trained, well organized at defense of Black people and Black communities. So that may be an avenue. I feel that's certainly an avenue. More people would have to get involved to make this an even greater nationwide thing, to where there's a chapter in every city where there's a Black presence, in every state, town, etc., to make it a viable. We have a more viable thing, so people, like, the movement can happen like that. Like when the young man Ahmaud Arbery was murdered, weeks after justice, there was a group that came out, Black group that came out to the neighborhood that he was killed in. They were well armed, they were well disciplined, and they were out there standing their ground, asking questions, etc., etc. So it's certainly out there, but like Kay said, it's that fear. It's that fear. Might get arrested, might not be able to provide for my family. I might not come back to my family, because we already know how cops do. And if we cross that line, there's nothing to protect us. Hey, guess what? There's nothing to protect you anyway. There's nothing to protect you anyway. All it takes is one agitated cop to say, you know what? I don't like the fact that you're recording me. I'm going to do something about this right now.
Exactly.
Or, okay, you recorded me. I'll get your information. Something's going to happen to you down the line. Like, there's just so many ways that, for them, in their mind, that they have so much to lose. Perhaps as an individual, perhaps thinking of the family unit, perhaps even thinking a larger group, hey, if I do this, there might be more repercussions to what I perceive as my community down the line, et cetera, et cetera. And also, it's that sense of, for some, I feel it's that sense of, if it doesn't happen directly to me, then it doesn't really affect me. So I'm not going to do anything about it. And then further still, there's learned helplessness. Yo, this does affect me, but what can I, one person, do about this? Nothing. So I will be sad. I'll be angry. I'll post about it on Facebook, say SMH, and then I'll move on to the next TikTok challenge or something.
Yeah. See, I feel this all comes back to us needing to police our own neighborhoods, because if you send outsiders or people that already have a preconceived stereotype or prejudice against us to try to maintain order in our neighborhood, they're going to be easily agitated just at the sight of you. I remember in like 94, Dr. Mutulu Shakur and Tupac Shakur, they came up with a thing called the Code of Thug Life. And it was these rules for the drug dealers, gangbangers, and all the people that were involved in that lifestyle that they had to follow. It was like no slanging between the hours of 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. No slanging to anybody younger than this age, or no pregnant sisters. It was like a bunch of rules that policed our neighborhood, and it kept not only the, upright citizens in order, but it also had rules for that, the drug dealers and the gangbangers and all that. And before that could even be put in place, all of a sudden, a rape charge for Tupac sent him to jail. And then when he got out, 9 months later, he was dead. So, like, those kind of laws, if we had those in place in our neighborhood, we could police our own neighborhoods and it would keep them out. Unless they're coming to purposely hunt us down. Then that's another thing. But if we had a set of rules or laws and we had the leadership in place to make sure that this happened, and we were able to sit down with all the different leaders of whatever gang set or whatever to keep everything in order, no way that they will be allowed to come in and just massacre us. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
I agree. Yeah, it does have to start with us, because I mean, what's the significance of a block captain nowadays? Somebody tell me.
Block parties.
That's about it.
Yeah. And wear orange vests.
Right. Yeah. Because you have communities where they have like a neighborhood representative that will literally take any issue, like in an HOA, for example. An HOA, you'll have like a HOA president within that neighborhood. Whatever issues the community has, they go present it to a board, and therefore it goes forward to like the mayor of the town. And guess what? Action is done. It's just that I think sometimes with us, we feel as though I don't know if it's, this process is going to take too long, or we already are admitting defeat, such as, you know what, like Reese pointed out, yeah, what can I do? It's one person. But like I said, it's not one person we're trying to come in as. It's strength in numbers. And like I said, that one representing you like how a politician does in a Congress, one person representing this district, he has voices behind him. So yeah, I agree with that. That you definitely need to have somebody represent the community. We have to go back to police in our own community. And I think this has me thinking now with the whole, we have that no snitching policy as well. So I don't know if that gets entangled with these situations as well, or what is the case. But I think there has to be some type of codes that we start adhering to once again, because when we were adhering to codes, even in the drug game, they were adhering to codes at one point, like you pointed out, and all of that's been wayward. So now look at the end result.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, we have to condition ourselves to adhering to codes once again, and maybe we'll see some progress.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking on the no snitch thing, people don't even understand that if you're a lawful citizen and you see a crime happening and you report said crime, that's not snitching. Snitching is when you're involved in the crime world and you see a crime happening with another person involved in the crime world, and then you go tell. If you're not involved in that lifestyle, you're not snitching. You're doing what you're supposed to do to keep your community safe. It's been this confusion over the years, but it's like it's not snitching. If you're trying to keep things safe for you and your family, your children, grandchildren, whatever, and you're not involved in that lifestyle, that's not snitching. So
Yeah, you're just a concerned citizen doing your job at that point, doing your duty.
exactly. Like I don't know where the mix up happened that became snitching just for somebody. If I'm not in the drug game and I see somebody outside my house doing something that's part of the drug game, I can't be snitching because I'm not in business with you. I'm not partaking in what you're doing. So it's like, yeah, it's that mindset, but people need to get their definitions and understand what's what.
Exactly.
Definitions are important, so important. Well, to touch on so you usually taught the game by OGs. OGs pass it down to the younger generation and so on and so on. But, what happened is there was a war placed on us. So a lot of the OGs that would have been in place to impart the wisdom and the knowledge and the actual codes weren't around when the younger generation started to take hold and take power, and rules got changed, rules got switched up, snitching became in, like it became a whole different code, and a lot of the ethics and morals that were developed by them, in my opinion, went by the wayside because they were sent to the prisons or sent to the graves, and they found a way to get that next generation up and running because they saw all the trappings of success without really understanding how to turn this money that you're getting into something bigger, better, and greater, and invest more in that community which you are a part of. So I think a lot was lost in that transition.
Yeah, definitely. Crack cocaine, mass incarceration, the actual definition of snitching, the increase of informants, which is all part of the snitching thing. Like, all that played a big part.
Now, to pivot for a second, because you did mention it at the top of the show, we should get into the Central Park incident.
Oh yeah, definitely. So do you think that maybe introducing new laws would discourage the Karens of the world from making these false calls and trying to get us lynched and murdered by the police? Because you know how they come charging in once that call is placed, and they say anything like, "Oh, he's threatening me. Oh, he's coming at me. Oh," like all these different things to make us seem so monstrous and so vicious. And
Can I ask something then? All right. So do you gentlemen think there would have been a different outcome to that Central Park incident if the cops had responded as quickly as she hoped they did? Because they never came, as far as I saw in the video. And I feel like when she realized they were not coming, there was a different story. But do you think something different, there would have been a different outcome had cops arrived at the scene?
Most definitely. That was her whole intent. Her intent was he was either going to be arrested or killed. That's why she said, I'm going to call and I'm going to let them know there's an African-American man here threatening me. That was her exact
New
word.
York City.
Yeah.
Exact words. It's like, I mean, we all know what happened to Emmett Till with false accusations.
Mhm.
So, going back to James' point, that yes, I do believe that there needs to be some type of. We would always say, "Oh, this person is filing a false police report or claim." So, why isn't there anything for false accusations? I'm not talking like defamation, not civilly. I want something criminally done in situations such as these, where there's no ground to stand on. She was as a matter of fact, she was in violation of the law. That's why the man was pointing it out to her. And thankfully, he covered his ass by recording the whole conversation. And then you saw exactly how she went up there and played victim. And it could have been an unfortunate situation. I mean, I see what the social media outcry did. They put the pressure on her job to where my whole background's acting crazy. Sorry about that. To where she was able to go ahead and they were able to go ahead and distance themselves from her and fire her. But I don't think that's enough. She'll get another job in no time. From what I understand, she was some executive there, so I'm sure she has connections to where she can get a job at the next place in a month after this is quiet down. But I need something. She needs a stain on her record to follow her for life like it does us. Anytime we get into some petty shit. That's the way I feel. Excuse the language.
No, that's cool. I definitely agree, because what she ultimately did was she weaponized her whiteness. So she knew the possible ramifications of what she was doing and what the end result could be. But that didn't matter at the time. She just wanted to be right. That's all that mattered, is that she wanted to be right in the moment and white, but she wanted to be right in the moment and take this man down. And when she was proven wrong, she played victim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you can't be an aggressor and, come out all boldly. Yeah, this African-American man is coming at me and I fear for my life. And then when you're proven wrong, you can't just switch it and play the victim and not have any kind of penalty or punishment for it. That's not just. It can't go down like that, because as we've seen over these past few years, this has been a recurring theme, and this is inspiring more people to come out and do the same thing. And it's like it's some kind of Power Rangers Megazord thing, like as our whiteness combined. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, they're becoming like a Megazord with their like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy, like how they know exactly what they're going for. Like, they know if they say they're calling the cops, they all watch the news. They know 9 times out of 10 the cops gonna show up and kill this guy.
Mm-hmm. It's a dog whistle.
Yeah, and it's like it don't even have to go that far. Like, if we go back to that one incident where the guy was waiting for his friend to come, and then there was the guy with his child, and the child had more sense than than their dad.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like, "Come on, Dad, no, this isn't right. Let's just go. This isn't right." And because he was so enraged, and his whiteness armor was all, fully glowing and fully energized, he just wasn't listening to his child. And he ended up looking like a fool.
Yep. I remember that.
Which is the very interesting thing with the advent of social media and the fact that everything gets recorded, how they don't realize that they're going to end up looking not only very bad from this, but if you're not a cop, a lot of times you'll suffer some real life consequences, such as losing your job and taking it to your reputation, because they'll get on you and they'll circulate it. And sure, there might be a group that supports you, but there's going to be a large group that are like, hey, you're wrong, you're evil, you're bad, you're a Karen, you're et cetera, et cetera. And it just seems that it doesn't stop them at all. It doesn't slow their roll at all. They're like, cameras on, I'm going to perform, and perform they do. But you just think how many times you mentioned earlier the Emmett Till thing. That's one egregious and just evil version of what keeps happening. Hey, a black man whistled at me. Some lady drowns her kids in a bathtub, throws them in the river, whatever. A black man kidnapped my child. A black man broke into my house. A black man did this. A black man did that. And it's like, wow, we are the boogeymen when history doesn't bear that out. It just doesn't bear that out. So the narrative and the truth don't match, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, absolutely, there should be consequences, criminal consequences to this. But I will say this: I just that group, and I hope our audience always knows who exactly we are talking about. We're not saying 100% of anybody is anything. We're saying specifically the group that do these sort of things. They largely escape without consequence. And that's the furious part. So the only time when laws seem to okay, let me walk this back a little bit. Marijuana has been, up until recently, a very illegal drug in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the population in prison for marijuana charges, seems a bit disproportionate to people of color, both black and brown.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's laws in place that should apply to everyone in this given case, and we're painfully made aware that no, it's different. Application of the law, devil's in the details, always.
You gotta remember two things. They're both blinded by their privilege and shielded by it.
Most definitely.
I'm just very glad the brother made it home alive to tell his story. Listen, at this point, I take that as a victory every time one of ours make it home alive from an encounter like that. So, because that could have gone very, very wrong. That could have gone very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know personally if I would have been able to handle it with the calmness and the maturity that he showed.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing, knowing when to control your emotions in situations such as that. Because I guarantee the whole narrative would have been changed. Because they would have said, oh, well, look at the way, like we always see this in police encounters, AKA situation with Sandra Brown. Look at the way she was foul-mouthed speaking to him. What kind of family was she raised in? That's not how you speak to authority. Had that man called her out her name the minute she started with her nonsense, they would have flipped the whole narrative. And they would have said, see, you don't know what occurred prior to him recording that. I always hear that. You don't know what happened before that. But anytime there's a situation and police come looking for a surveillance tape, how come that's never, oh, it's on the tape. It happened that way. That's the way it occurred. You see it on the tape. But anytime it's coming from our perspective, it's, well, you don't know what happened before they started recording. So, like I said, they're real quick. It's repetitive. Honestly, it's repetitive in the way it occurs. Another thing Reese pointed out was, in the case of officers getting caught in nonsense like this, what was his name? Darren Wilson, when he murdered Michael Brown. Like I said, they get fired or whatever the case is. But look, his GoFundMe was what, almost $1 million?
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
It doesn't, and GoFundMe allowed that. That's another thing you have to keep in mind. These platforms, allow other they allow these people to have lifelines. So, like I said, you said, how is it you see someone recording you and you still want to act a fool? Well, it's because you have multiple lifelines. You don't know what relative she has. Like I said, she was an executive. Her networking is probably crazy. She knows, okay, I can lose this job. I'll just be transferred here or I'll go here. It's like a Catholic priest. They know it's against the law. They know it's against God's law, but they still do it because they know at the end of the day, I'm not going to be punished for it. I'll be transferred. So this is exactly what these people do. They get into their mode. You're in your country. This is their country at the end of the day, because guess what? They write the laws. And until there's more of us in a position to modify those laws, this is their country. That's the way I view it. Because what say do we have? We can cry a lot, we can complain a lot, but they have the ultimate say. And this is what occurs. They have these jobs where they can say, you know what? Come on down this way. I got you. Don't worry about that. That's just a blemish. In a couple months, people will forget all about that. And that's exactly what happens. We need to keep a database of these people. And we need to have, like you have Facebook memories, we need to have real life memories. Every few months, remind people, this person, are they around? Are they at your company? All right, they need to be fired. That's how we have to do it, because these people just can't go on business as usual. Meanwhile, we have loved ones who have died because of their lies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Because of their lies. Yep.
So that kind of brings me to the next question I have. So when will marching and forgiveness run its course, and when will it ultimately just be you attack one of us, we attack you? Because ultimately that's what it's going to come down to.
Honestly, throughout our history here, throughout our history in this land, when has that been the case? There's been literally ripping families apart, breaking husbands in front of wives, raping wives in front of husbands, drowning babies, using them as alligator bait. When have we gone on the attack? If that didn't make us go on the attack, what will?
Yeah, that's a good point, man, because it's like we're always so quick to forgive. You remember the brother of Botham?
Oh my God.
He hugged her in front of everybody, and I'm like, yeah, you gonna hug this? You gonna hug her? And then the judge came down, was like fixing her hair, and I'm like, what world are we living in that this is okay? Like, I don't get it. Like, I understand that people say forgiveness is for you and not for the other person, but that's on a smaller scale. Not when we're constantly being, destroyed.
And that
centuries,
forgiveness was definitely for that officer. It wasn't for them. That they did that for her. They did that to make her feel better and make her feel like, oh, this is so no, not in that case.
Because what happened was she was quick to play the victim. The verdict came out. What did you see? Tears. For some reason, the tears made everybody be like, oh, let's love her, even though she's a thug and a murderer. Let's go love her and fix her hair and make sure she's all pretty and everything for the camera. Really? Like, we would never get that kind of treatment after we were found guilty of murder.
And that's what they pointed out. They said, how many times has that judge come down and stroked the hair of somebody, of somebody who was just convicted of murder, found guilty? How many times did that occur? It's just a reoccurring thing, like you said, with this whole apology thing.
Yeah, because she even had something smart to say about the witness that ended up getting killed for some fraudulent reason. She said, oh, I'm surprised he showed up. I'm like, really?
That's because she was in on that. I think they threatened that man, and how that was swept under the rug so quickly, it still amazes me.
Yeah, the whole story didn't make sense, and I'm like, this just shows like we got no kind of sustainability with our unity. Our unity has a time limit on it, and when that time runs out, everybody just moves the hell on and just forgets about it. But it's like, you think about all the different atrocities, all the different conspiracies, yes, because it's conspiracies because a lot of people just leave it alone, but it'd be some strange circumstances. behind it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this can't constantly happen, and then we're just supposed to be like, oh, that's not really what happened. You just crazy. You know, it's not that. You can't. We need to stop minimizing each other. If we have something to say, listen. At least listen. That's all you gotta do. After you listen with an open mind,
yeah.
that's all you have to do is just listen. Don't hear to respond. Actually listen to the words I'm saying and then take it in, absorb it, and then whatever your response is after that is fine. But we need to give each other a chance to speak. Because a lot of the stuff that's going on don't make sense. Just like we're here right now doing this show because we want people to hear us speak. We want them to absorb everything we're saying, and yes, take it to heart,
Mm-hmm.
and just try to change or realign your thinking, because you can't be so quick to downplay what your brother and sister has to say, but then you uplift every other person. It's like our ice is the same as their ice. Their ice isn't colder than our ice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, Reese, you're about to say something. I'll let you go.
No. Okay, go ahead and rock.
Because it's changing gears because it's all related. It's like, case in point, what was said last Friday? Joe Biden, we saw him run his mouth. And look at, like I said, I know it's a partisan thing, but I guarantee it. I just know, let that have been a Republican. The same people backing Joe Biden on that statement would have been condemning that Republican for that statement. And like I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Screw politics, because this is my motto. Democrats and Republicans all own slaves.
Mm-hmm.
So they ain't worried about us. They ain't worried about us. So what we need to do is we need to stay consistent on it. And we can't have others just saying so quick to forgive or make excuses for what somebody makes, what other people make about us, statements that we know don't even begin to make sense, but we're so quick to just forgive others, but ourselves will condemn. We'll condemn. Like, case in point, and this is another thing, because it boils down to religion mainly. Louis Farrakhan, you have a lot of brothers and sisters that don't rock with him based upon, I know, his religious beliefs. Whereas when he speaks, he's speaking on behalf of us and for the benefit of us. But you'll have it's great division based upon what he is when it comes to religion. So they're not concentrating on his message. It's mainly, oh, well, he's not Christian, therefore he ain't speaking on my behalf. And you'll have these evangelicals who'll say all this, but guess what? Actions speak louder than words. And we've seen that now. We're seeing more and more of it now. So it's like, okay, you're putting your religion ahead of your identity. And at the same time, I've seen how you can easily forgive somebody who's done something so heinous, literally killed your brother, and you come there and say, here's my Bible, I forgive you. Please give me a hug. I want to be friends with you. Like, the psyche is so damaged. It's so damaged. That's why it's like, I don't want to be one that says I've lost hope, but at the same time, nothing is surprising. Nothing surprises me nowadays when something like this occurs, and then we just chill out on it. We just chill out on it. So I don't know what it's gonna take. I don't know what it's gonna take.
You know, that was all very poignant too, and this is part of the reason why I'm part of this, right? Because I'm trying, along with you guys, along with others, I'm trying to develop this answer, because we've basically been in every scenario, and it hasn't worked to the degree that any of us would be satisfied with. at the very least. And it's like, well, hey, what's what is it going to take? And it's just it's a shame that, you know, people sometimes you lose sight of the message because you're not enamored by the messenger, especially when the messenger is so intelligent, is very cogent, and makes coherent and decent points, and there's something to be learned from them. But like you were saying earlier, James, people are so unwilling to listen to you that by the time you're speaking, they already have their speaking points to contradict and counteract whatever you're saying out of your mouth without actually taking it in. They're just taking it to the point to, okay, let me see how I can disagree with you. And it's the religious part, to me, that is very disappointing, because there should be nowhere in religion that says that gets in the way of you wanting better for your people as a whole, your tribe, your group. And there's, unfortunately to me, too many of us that don't see us as part of the same tribe, due to religion, due to location of birth, due to so many just things that are not going to matter, because the cop is going to have his foot on your neck, whether you are this, that, or the other. Straight, gay, Christian, Muslim, identifies anything like there's oppression happening, and it's not happening to some of us. It's happening to some of us directly, but it's happening to all of us. And that should be the rallying point. And yet, but I have not lost hope, because I want to make things better for our future generations and their generations. And that means if we got to do the dirty work like our predecessors did, they did the sacrifice, then let's find a way to let's get into it. Let's try it. Let's dig. If the Democrats and Republicans can find some ways to work together sometimes, I think people of the same race should be able to. No, hey, I don't agree. I think this person's the best. No, I think this person's the best. All right, hey, guess what? Cops still want to shoot us both. So there's commonalities there. There's commonalities there. And that's where we have to find that. We have to find that. We have to find unity somewhere. We don't have to be lock and step. I'm sure the three of us aren't lock and step with every little thing. We agree on a lot of the principles, though. Right. And that's what's important. That's how we can work together. That's how we can come together. Because I know you two aren't interested in just saying, and this is what's wrong with the Black community. All right, goodbye. No, we're here to find ways to make things better for us, for them, for our future generations, and now. So, I have not, and I will not give up hope. But I right now don't have that that magic pill, that formula. I don't. But that's why I'm here. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to have my input. We're willing to learn from people who've been fighting for this longer than us, and some people that are coming in and have like fresh ideas and fresh ways to look at it. Don't have our same views on things, because they haven't faced the same hurdles we have so far just yet, but maybe they face different hurdles. So yeah, I'm here for all of it.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone tuning in, this is the starting point of this conversation. Just carry it on with your friends and family, and maybe someday we can get to that point where we find an answer. And also remember, watch the Liberated Mind show, or you ain't black.
This generation under so much pressure, held to a standard impossible to measure. Without guidance, they suffer. No father in sight, no love from their mother. Not the fin for the one in the mirror. Self-image distorted, can't get no clearer. Damn, lost souls devoured by the streets.